Oh, man. Yep. What up, guys? It's John from XY Rising. So I just posted a Facebook status I'm not going to say it's going to get me banned off of Facebook, but I mean, trigger. I even put a trigger warning on it, but there's going to be a lot of angry people about this one once they connect all the dots. But, I said some stuff about that Gillette ad that I call them into action, and then I already know when you call them into actual action, they get very upset because we are very female oriented on the male side, and that's a big problem. I mean, yeah, we'll stand up and be men here and there, but overall, nope, we are a bunch of, excuse my language, and turn the volume down. Turn the volume down. Yep, I'll wait a second. Turn the volume down. There you go. All right. We are a bunch of bitch-ass men in this generation. I'm sorry. We are bitch-ass to... I mean, we're probably the most bitch-ass that we've seen in decades. Okay, you can turn the volume back up. I'll use a different word next time. But anyway, I'm on my way home from work. I just posted a controversial Facebook status that I've kind of been working on for the past couple of days. But so obviously there's this controversial Gillette ad that's going on. Basically telling men to get rid of toxic masculinity and that they got to do better and kind of thank you to the good men who don't act this way, right? Funny thing is that a majority of men do act that way, but they still have these complaints. So what does that tell you? Yeah, there is a huge disconnect between men and women. But anyway, that aside, I'm basically going to talk right now about what my Facebook post was about. But, men got to do better. Now, time out. I'm not saying men got to do better in general. We're just going to leave it at that. No. What has to be defined as masculinity? And we got to stop allowing women to do it. That's my call to action to men. We define masculinity, stop listening to women, and we go from there. Okay? Like, all of this stuff is happening because we've been listening to women. I mean... Did men put their hair in man buns on their own? Did men wear skinny jeans on their own? Did men get in touch with their feminine side and start crying over stuff on their own? No. The women told us to do it. And they said, basically, if you do this, we'll give you sex. And men stupidly went along with that and said, okay, you know what? Actually, that did make me feel bad. Actually, and then now what are women saying 20 years down the line? Men are weak, men are soft. Where are the real men at? How come real men won't step up? What's up with all this excuse mating? A lot of you, see, I mean, and all of the things that they said they wouldn't say, they're saying. And again, I've talked about this before, or should I say, I've heard some other guys talk about this before, and it does ring true because I have tried every possible way of doing it. And that's holding them accountable for the stuff that they say. They've said it for decades upon decades that men need to be soft, men need to be dainty, men need to be, basically, gay without being gay, right? Men stupidly went along with that, thinking that we would get sex, and what happens? We don't get it, and women make fun of us. And then when you try to hold them accountable and say, well, you said this, they're like, we never said that. What are you talking about? Who was saying that? Okay, maybe someone somewhere said it, but the most of us ain't been saying it, even though all of the television ads, all of the news articles, all of the interviews, so many podcasts, so many feminist groups, all of these female-oriented entities said exactly that upon decades. They still are going to sit there and look you right in the face and say, we didn't say that. Are you serious? See, and guess what, men? You're not going to hold them accountable. I swear you're not going to hold them accountable. You can come up with every way of saying it. You can come up with all the explanations. You can come up with all the analogies. You can come up with whatever way of trying to hold them accountable you can, and they will Neo in the Matrix their way out of it. They will O.J. Simpson defense team level, analyze and pontificate their way out of it. I mean, you will not hold them accountable for their own safety and security and all of the stuff that they said that they wouldn't charge you with. They will deny. I mean, they are better than Bill Clinton getting out of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. I mean, you will not hold them accountable. And men, you trying to do so, it's not going to change anything. Because guess what? Even if they did, they're still not going to do it. And this is what I mean. So say a woman gets beat up and just either sexually assaulted, raped, whatever, just some sort of violent crime, right? Even though, and I'm going to put my own personal experience in here and the testimony of some others, even if you were around women when they put on clothes that said, oh yeah, this is really going to get the men going, I'm going to really be a stunner tonight, blah, 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 they will always find a way as to how that action, knowing good and well what they were going to do, is not related or not acceptable for males' response, even though they knew exactly the response they were going to get or the risk that they were taking in doing that, because women are very aware that men are much stronger than them, and they're very aware that men are visual creatures. Don't let them tell you that they're not, but again, they will deny it. Even though they know the consequences of their actions, they will still do it and then still hold you accountable for what it is that happens to them, no matter how bad it is. I guarantee you, it does not matter how much you try. It does not matter how much you get mad. They are still going to do it. They are still going to find a way to make the fact that something bad happened to them, even despite warning saying, don't do this, ladies. You run the risk of this, because then they're going to charge you with treating them like a child, how they're a grown, strong, independent woman. You can't tell them what to do, blah, 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 blah. If they get hurt, guess whose fault it is? And you can sit here and say, oh, nope, I'm not taking responsibility for that. I don't care. You can say that all day long. And guess what? Not only do women not hold each other accountable for sometimes their own actions, but they're not collectively. They're not going to hold each other accountable either. They'll hold men accountable, but they're not going to hold each other accountable. I've even talked to women like, okay, how about this? I'll give you a real life example. During the Me Too movement, when that first became mainstream news, I posted a Facebook status on it. Oh yeah, and the women lit me up. I tried to call out all their duplicit behavior. I said that, again, sexual assault and rape's not acceptable, and it's not. And it was still, how dare you, and you're supporting rape, and blah, 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 blah. And months later, there was an article posted where, what was his name? Henry Cahill, the new Superman dude. He said, I ain't talking to women. If me flirting with a woman if me flirting with a woman goes negative, and that's going to be looked at like sexual assault or rape, I'm just going to avoid women. I posted that as a follow-up and said, this is what men's reactions are. Crickets. Women didn't say anything. And it's yep, and it's again, because see, what did Henry try to do? He tried to hold women accountable, say, hey, we need a standard, because that was what I said during the Me Too, in my Me Too post. It's like, hey, we need a standard as to like what you want us to do when it comes to sexual assault versus getting sent a pic on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, Tinder. Even if, I don't know anybody who's on Tinder for, who's on Tinder for good intentions, but, you know what I'm talking about. And, yep, again, like I said, like, they went off. I'm surprised some of those women are still even my Facebook friends. That's what baffles really me the most. But, hey, whatever. But, again, you're not going to hold them accountable. Good luck. You're not going to hold them accountable. Because, again, men, we have to make a standard. We cannot allow them to make a standard, or otherwise we're going to get a Me Too situation. And this is my problem with Me Too, is that women will literally, with a straight face, equate rape and sexual assault to getting sent a phallic picture over social media. Now, given none of them want any of that to happen, and I get it, but at the same time, they have duplicit behavior. Because again, if sending pics over social media didn't and or never worked, why do men continue to do it? It's because some women somewhere are doing it, and men are like, well, I just got to find those women. That's why men do it. But again, are women going to hold those other women accountable, saying, ladies, let's not sit here and accept guys who send us pics? Are they going to do that? Hell no, they're not. And when you tell them to do it, they're going to come up with every answer and every reason as to why that has nothing to do with the behavior of men. They're not going to do it. They're going to weasel out of it. They're going to talk about how you should just know better, or did your mom raise you like that? Or I mean, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter. They're not going to hold themselves accountable for the fact that they accept that behavior from men. They're not going to. They're not going to. They're not going to. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. It's how women are wired. It makes sense to them. It doesn't make sense to us, and it never will. You know, and I told men that, and I already know that men listening to this are going to be upset. I know that I used an example on one lady's comment that, you know, men are basically separated into three groups, and I'm going to circle back to the point I was going to make. Men are basically vanguards, knights, and raiders. Vanguards are like your old school minded guys who are like, hey, we want some consistency, we want a standard, and we're going to uphold that standard, and we'll fight to the death for that standard because we're men, and that's just what we do. You know, those are the vanguards. Your knights, I'm not going to lie, I stole it from the whole white knight thing. The whole white knight thing. Those are the ones who just, whatever women say, they'll do it, and because a woman said it, and hopefully they'll give me sex, I'll go and do it. And we got way too many of those. Way too many. And then finally got raiders. Raiders are just the bad men. Those are your criminals. Those are your men who act foul and disrespectful and just don't care about society in general. And again, some of them are loud and boisterous about it, and some of them actually aren't. And, you know, and those are basically the three groups of men, especially when it comes to this in particular conversation. Now, going back to what I said is, women will always deny that they are actually attracted to a certain level of raider behavior. And guess what? They will uphold knights who will sit there and answer the call, and, you know, no matter what a woman says, she is correct. You know, that's the men, by the way. Yeah, those are the knight men. And the vanguards are like, nah, we can't have, you know, a tremendous violation of women be equated to a minor inconvenience, you know, as you go about your day. And women don't like that. Women do not like that. Women want absolute comfort. Is that possible? Absolutely not. Because again, who are we really talking about in this conversation? First world women. First world women, that's who we're talking about. Right? I mean, there are no women on the face of the planet who live a better lifestyle than American women and European women. And then, you know, you can kind of argue a couple other areas, but basically American women and European women. And I mean, they still have complaints. I mean, they make more money, they live in better conditions, more sanitary conditions, they have access to better quality of healthcare. We can argue how much that costs, but nonetheless, they still have access to it, etc. and so forth. They're still complaining. They are still complaining. And I'm not really talking about minority women, because minority women, you can kind of, you know, see some of their arguments, because it's like, yeah, you really shouldn't be treated like that in a first world nation, especially with that access. But I know there's still some numbers that haven't been quite dove into about that, and I know the research is still kind of new. But, you know, as far as white women, no excuses. But they still complain. They still complain. They're the international beauty standard. They have the highest standard of living, the highest access to health, to the best healthcare on the face of the planet. They have the highest access to knowledge. They make the most money. Nope, still got complaints. They still got complaints, and that's very indicative of female nature. It's very indicative of female nature. But you know, but anyway, going back to the point I was going to make, it's like, you know what? Women don't know how men operate, nor do they care. You know, they don't. I mean, like I said, the guys who act like, you know, what I call vanguards, they're the ones who are complaining because there's no standard. But, and I know they don't want to hear this because, again, the standard they were told was that women set the standard, or that there can't be a standard because women will get upset, but then women are still holding them to a standard, so that takes them off. So, like, that's really who's doing the crime, because they're mad because there's no standard. Because, see, the knights are going to do whatever women want. So that's why they're the ones over here like, men need to step up. Men just have to do it. You know, and it's like, we need a standard. We need a standard. And again, and I called out the vanguards. I said, you know, it doesn't matter what the women say, and it doesn't matter what anyone says, and the previous generations of essentially vanguards and knights failed us, and we have to step up and set a standard. Like we can't allow them to do it. And I know I triggered everyone. Because when the women put it together, they're probably going to come up with some form of, you know, they have to be controlled, and of course their feminist training. I don't care how not feminist they are, there's some aspect of them that's going to feel some type of way about that, and they're going to get triggered. And I already know the men being forced to step up after being told that they don't have to step up for anything because gender equality and women have their own agency, and how dare you tell them anything otherwise. Men are going to get ticked off about that, being told that they have to take care of something that they were previously trained to not take care of. You know, and how do you know that men weren't trained to take care of women? Because women are running around asking, why chivalry's dead? Why are men so disrespectful? Why did men not care? Why did men, it's just like, and here we go. They said that they didn't want the old way. Now that they got what they asked for, and now they're still complaining. Their complaints are different, but they're still complaining. And it's just like, men, they're not going to not complain. Okay? They're not going to not complain. And sorry that our previous generation of men told us that, yes, dear, whatever you say it was going to fix the problem. Nope, it doesn't. It makes it worse. It temporarily offers relief, but it doesn't fix the problem. Yes, dear, whatever you say is like Advil for a bad relationship. Every single time you use it, yes, it temporarily relieves the pain, but when the pain comes back, it's going to come back just as hard or maybe even worse. But, that's... I triggered some folks. But that's really all I gotta say, man. Is like, this whole Gillette ad is just indicative that we're trying to have our cake and eat it too. Meaning, we're trying to say that men can't control women, but then we charge men with the responsibility of protection, which is essentially controlling women. And women see no problem in that. They see absolutely no problem in that. They sit here and say, you can't treat me like that, and how dare you do this, that, and the third. But guess what? They're not going to hold themselves accountable. All of their strong, independent female woman, whatever they want to say. Nope, let them get hurt. See what happens. See whose fault it is when they get hurt. I guarantee you it's going to be your fault. Doesn't matter whether you're a Vanguard, a White Knight, or a Raider. They're going to hold you accountable. And again, women, and I'm going to go back to my analogy of the chick whose Facebook status that I wrote my example under. It's like, women are asking Knights and Vanguards to protect them against Raiders. Women are still attracted to a certain level of Raider behavior, but they're also attracted to Knight behavior. Why are they attracted to also Knight behavior? Because Knights and Raiders operate on like no actual code. Like they're kind of just like, they just kind of like go along with it, kind of just, hey, whatever. Like we'll respond to situations as they come. But the thing is that Raiders operate maliciously and Knights operate with a little bit more just kind of like natural dignity. But the problem is that they can be easily swayed and easily manipulated. That's why women like upholding Knights, is because they can get what they want, so they think, out of Knights. And Vanguards aren't going to do that. Vanguards are saying, hey, these are the rules, we need a standard, and I need to be able to know when I'm like, it has to be pass-fail. There has to be some sort of standard. And Knights are like, no, it's whatever they say, whatever the women say. But see, unfortunately, as a man, you cannot sit here and do whatever women say, because women are going to say contradictory things, and then when they get hurt under those contradictions that they ask for, they're going to hold you accountable for what happens. Because here's the biggest example, man. Women are going to sit here and say that certain violent behaviors are unnecessary and shouldn't be considered masculine, right? But then they're going to turn right around when they get hurt emotionally or deeply or even physically and talk about how no amount of violence is violent enough to defend their honor. When they just got done, turn your volume down. Keep going. There you go. Right there. All right. No matter how, when they just got done saying for you to be a bitch ass. They were co-signing you to be a bitch ass. Now you're a bitch ass. And now they have a problem with it, even though they're the ones that told you to be a bitch ass. Okay, turn your volume back up. All right, good. Okay, so yeah, that's the way it is. You're not going to hold them accountable. It's always your responsibility, and they're never going to change. You're responsible for the safety and protection and security, and you can argue provision of women. You really are. And you're not going to get out of it. They're not going to let you out of it. And women aren't going to go off and make their own cities and towns and anything else to where you will be absolved from any sort of responsibility. And don't think that you're going to go off and do it, because first off, there's way too many men who are, addicted to what's between women's legs to not compromise the entire issue. And then men, once loneliness sets in, you're going to go over there and you're going to try to see what women are doing anyway, even if they did have their own cities and towns, because all you have to do is sit here and say, oh, there's a whole bunch of women over there, and young men will always go over there and do it. And by young men, I mean, we can even throw teenagers in there, teenagers to men who are, I'm gonna say 25 and younger, because 25 is really when men really need to be men. I don't care how sophomoric your society is, But again, men and women are not going to separate. We're not going to separate. We are too attracted to each other, and that's the way God made us, and that's just the way it is. We're not going to separate from ourselves from each other. We're too attracted to each other, and we need each other. Period. Because quite frankly, look, an environment without women for men is too violent and too chaotic, and it's just like nothing will get done. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the stuff that men do is predicated on the rewarding of the hottest female, or the rewarding of, sex by a female. Like that's why we have grid buildings, because it's like women are attracted to what men do, and men are attracted to how women are. It's like, all you need to do is have some woman go, wow, that's really nice. Like, what else do you like to do? And a man, he can resist all he wants. But if a woman keeps coming back, it's just like, that's really cool. Like, really, you do that? Like, she will wear him down, because it's in his nature. He has to take care of a woman. He has to. It's in his blood. And again, she's not going to be by herself, because she's attracted to what's built up. She's attracted to what's shiny. She's attracted to, what men can provide, and men are providers. It's in our programming. So women are not going to go off and build and maintain and do any of that stuff. They say they will. They say they can. Have they done it? Nope. How do we know? We've had this level of terrible feminism since the 60s. I'm sorry. Show me the all-female town. Exactly. Like, here, we don't even have to go that far. Show me the all-female construction companies. Show me the female skyscraper companies, or skyscraper building companies, the tech companies. I mean, yes, we can sit here and say that women have a tech company if it's like, a sole proprietorship or something like that. But show me the female Google. Show me the female Yahoo. Show me the female Facebook. Show me the female Twitter. Show me the female Microsoft. Show me the female Sony. Show me the female Apple. Show me the female. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can go all the way down the line from the biggest structures that everyone, loves to use on a daily basis, and you won't get it. Like, you will not see an all-female version of it. And again, it's not women's responsibility to provide and protect and to do all that stuff for men. It's not their responsibility. You're not going to hold them accountable, and you can't make them do it. They're not built for it. We are. And that's what men don't like to hear. Why? Because, again, we were told women can do everything on their own, and the men before us stupidly let us as little boys believe that BS. That's why we're in this situation. But guess what? It's still our responsibility. We got to fix it. But, I'm not trying to make this video long, but, I'm just, saying the same points over and over again. But again, it's a very basic issue. It's a very basic issue, but, yeah, sorry, man. It's the price of a penis. Yeah, anyway, I'm John from the Gen XY. Daggone, I did it again. This is John from XY Rising.